my god, it's a wild Chauncey! Okay, I guess I'll throw a safari ball at it now.
You will never catch me, Gold.
Oh, that's unfortunate, your Chauncey fled! Oh, dang, so close. What is going on, guys? This is Dobbs here, bringing you another Pokemon video. And in this video, we're gonna go over the top 10 hardest Pokemon to catch ever. And before we start, I just want to say that you guys should definitely ring the bell on my channel because it helps me out a ton. You get notified more often. And also, I'm like 90% sure I'm gonna live stream Pokemon Sword and Shield here on the main channel on release day, so be sure to look out for that. And yeah, with that said, without further ado, let's get started.
Number 10.
Now for number 10, we're gonna start with something that's not that difficult, but still a pain in the butt. So with that said, for number 10, I chose a Pokemon Platinum Beldum. Now, if you didn't know, Beldum is the only non-legendary or mythical Pokemon to have a catch rate of 3%. That means this Pokemon is as hard to catch as a legendary, and I'm sure you guys probably know how frustrating it is to catch a legendary Pokemon. On top of that, Beldum only appears in swarms in the Gen 4 games, which is a random event that happens once a day at a random time that makes rare Pokemon more likely to be encountered. But the thing is, you can only access this type of random event only after you attain the National Dex and have entered the Hall of Fame. So you basically have to see all the Pokemon in the region before you even have a chance of catching Beldum. Not only that, but after you go through all these hoops of prerequisites, it gets even worse. Because when you're in a battle with Beldum, all it knows is Takedown, which has recoil damage, so it damages itself every turn. So you have to constantly put it to sleep to have a good chance at catching it. But it doesn't stop there, because on top of worrying about putting it to sleep, you have to worry about the constant sandstorm that's doing residual damage to your Pokemon. So honestly, the best Pokemon to use would be a Gengar with Hypnosis with a leftover item. So we can put it to sleep, negate the takedown, and negate the sandstorm. And then after that, you gotta treat it like a legendary Pokemon and hope to God that you catch it. Because there's no way you're gonna waste a Master Ball on a Beldum, unless it was like a Super Saiyan Duperlay Beldum, but I don't think those exist. So yeah, it's safe to say that Beldum is one of the hardest Pokemon to catch, but it only gets harder from here because number 1 and 2 are crazy.
Number 9.
Now this one is kind of far-fetched because it resides in Pokemon Snap, and in that game you don't really catch Pokemon, you just take pictures of them. But let's just imagine taking a picture in Pokemon Snap is the same as catching a Mon in the main series game. And I mean, hey, it does take skill to take pictures of a Pokemon, it's not that easy. So with that said, for number 9, I chose the floating Pikachu in Pokemon Snap. Now man, getting a picture of this Pikachu is a chore because it just feels like it's based on luck. You see, all you have to do is make it to the 4th level and hit Zubat with a Pester Ball. But even if this sounds like an easy task, it's not. Hitting Zubat with a Pester Ball, it feels like it's impossible. Because it has such a spontaneous flying pattern that you have to just throw a ball randomly and get lucky. And if you didn't know, the Munching Orange and I did a Pokemon Snap Let's Play on my Dobbs Gaming channel. And after several attempts of trying to get this floating Pikachu to start floating down, we finally got it, and our reactions are priceless. Here, check it out.
Now I just gotta get the actual shot, the harder part. Okay, it's time to hit the Zubat though. Dude, wait! Oh my god, it looked like I hit it! It looked like I hit it. I did hit it! Oh!
Ow!
Yo!
Oh, I hit it too!
I hit it! Yo, you did it! Let's go, dude! Let's go! Play the Poke Flute! Play the Poke Flute,
Oh my god!
dude.
Yeah, we were super excited to finally free this Pikachu from the Zubat and have it float down all peacefully with balloons. But little did we know, you could actually take this a step further and get Pikachu on top of Articuno and fly for real. Which is probably even harder to do than just a balloon Pikachu floating down by itself. But yeah, anyways, for all those reasons, I chose the floating Pikachu for number 9 on this list.
Number 8.
Now these next Pokemon are more annoying than hard to catch because they just love to run away from you and just stay away from you forever. So for number 8, I chose the roaming legendary Pokemon. Now I guarantee everyone who's watching this video knows the struggle of trying to find a roaming legend. It's been around since the Generation 2 games, and even back then, it was a pain in the butt. And I feel like I'm going to be saying that phrase a lot in this video, pain in the butt, because basically every Pokemon on this list is a pain in the butt to encounter and catch. But anyways, just in my last video, in my Pokemon Crystal Challenge, I spent an entire hour trying to find a legendary beast. And this wasn't an hour in normal gameplay speed, this was an hour on speed up. And after I hit the hour mark, I was just shell-shocked on how long it was taking. It was crazy. And man, if you decided to shiny hunt one of these roaming legends, good luck with that, because that would just be a nightmare to me. Because every time you soft reset, you have to find the legendary Pokemon again, and screw that. Finding it just one time is enough for me. And on top of all of that, they run away once you encounter it. So you have to like throw a Master Ball or have some arena trap Pokemon to trap it. I would say these legendary Pokemon are the definition of a troll mon in the Pokemon games. And that is why they're number 8 on this list. They are just incredibly hard and annoying to capture.
Number 7.
Now, this one's going to be short and sweet because we all know how much of a struggle this Pokemon is to catch. So for number 7, I chose the Safari Zone Chauncey. Now, Chauncey is the pinnacle of this video. It's just the definition of a frustrating, hard Pokemon to catch. Because not only does it have a very low encounter rate of 1%, it also has a very high flea rate of, I don't even know %. It just flees when you look at it. It doesn't want to be messed with. It's a very skittish Pokemon. If you look at it the wrong way, it will just run for its life. But if you come across a courageous Chauncey that wants to challenge you for your food or rocks for some reason, catching it is a completely different story. Now, for the longest time, I never knew what the rocks and bait did for the Safari Zone. I thought they were just like random tools that have a random effect. But after researching for this video, I found out the rocks make the Pokemon angry and easier to catch, but it makes them more likely to run away. And as for the bait, it makes the Pokemon stay for a little bit longer, but it makes them harder to catch. And believe it or not, the best strategy to catch Chauncey is to throw 2 rocks at it and make it very angry, and then start chucking Safari Balls. Because apparently the skittish Pokemon has a very short temper, and it will not let you get away with throwing rocks at it. But yeah, in the end, for the fact this Pokemon is incredibly hard to find and incredibly hard to catch, I chose it for number 7 on this list.
Number 6.
Now this next one is a Pokemon that you've probably heard before, but I had to include it on this list because it's just a staple to this topic. So with that said, for number 6, I chose a Pokemon Emerald Phoebus. Now there really isn't much to say about this Pokemon, it's very short and simple. Phoebus and Pokemon Emerald can only be encountered on 5 to 6 tiles in the entire region. And if you don't know what 5 to 6 tiles look like on a map, it's that. That's your likelihood of coming across a Phoebus. But there is a catch, no pun intended. Phoebus can only be encountered on Route 119 through fishing. But when you're fishing on each tile trying to find this Phoebus, you're not guaranteed the encounter because you can get another Pokemon like Magikarp. So it's basically like finding a needle in a haystack. You're just throwing a dart at a board and hoping you get the bullseye. There really isn't no strategy to catch this mon. You just gotta get incredibly lucky. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. If you want to catch a Phoebus, go start hunting, fishing every tile on the map. Like honestly, who wants a Phoebus that bad? Like I don't want a Phoebus that bad. But for all those reasons, I chose it for number 6 on this list.
Number 5.
Now this next Pokemon has the second most prerequisites out of all the mons on this list. And no, Beldum doesn't have the most, it has the third most. So for number 5, I chose a Pokemon Platinum Regigigas. Now, to even have a chance of catching this elemental giant, you first have to obtain the 3 Regi Pokemon. But the thing is, these 3 Golems are not available in the Generation 4 games, so you have to transfer them from the Generation 3 games, or get them from a special event. And nowadays, I don't believe Game Freak plans to do any more special events for the old games, so you'll have to stick with transferring them from Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. And man, if you've been around long enough, you probably remember how tedious it was unlocking the 3 Regis in the Gen 3 games. Because first of all, you would have to read Braille somehow to figure out all the mechanics to unlock the Regis, and then you have to go out and catch these Regis yourself. And these are legendary Pokemon, they are no joke of a catch. And keep in mind, most of us were 10 to 15 years old during this time, and it was a very hard challenge. But if you somehow did all of this, then you just transfer to Platinum and then battle Regigigas, because it'll awaken after centuries of being asleep because you have its 3 little children. And then you can finally catch the level 1 legendary Pokemon, which I still think is pretty awesome. But yeah, for the fact that you have to go through a bunch of hurdles to unlock Regigigas, I chose it for number 5 on this list.
Number 4.
Now this next one is in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series, and in those games you don't really catch Pokemon, you just recruit them. But for the sake of this video, let's just imagine catching a Pokemon and recruiting a Pokemon are the same, because in my mind they pretty much are. So with that said, for number 4, I chose a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Cleon. Now, if you've never played the PMD games, Cleon is a major character in the storyline, because without him, you couldn't buy any items or find any items in dungeons. But let me tell you, if you mess with Cleon, he will become a god. Not only a god, but he'll become a Super Saiyan Ultra Instinct Cleon. Because if you find yourself leaving his shop without paying him, he will teleport to you with double stats, double speed, and level 90 power. And most of the time, just one-shot you with his attack. So recruiting him is kind of a challenge. Not to mention that his recruitment rate is 0% without the friend bow. So you have to be carrying a friend bow to enhance its recruitment rate to 0.1%. And with those statistics, that means that you will only recruit a Cleon every 100 kills. So good luck finding Cleons and destroying them with their Super Saiyan-like stats. Unless you have a one-hit KO move, which is possible. But most of the time, he'll just knock you out before your Sure Cold lands because of the accuracy. So in the end, Cleon is an incredibly strong Pokemon in these games and incredibly hard to recruit. And for those reasons, I chose Cleon for number 4 in this list.
Number 3.
Now, I have a confession. This video was originally called Top 10 Hardest Pokemon to Obtain, but last second I changed it to the top you see before you, Top 10 Hardest Pokemon to Capture. And for this next one, it's more of a Pokemon that you unlock than capture, but there's still catching involved. So with that said, for number 3, I chose a Survey Pikachu. Now before I even start, let's just keep in mind that Pokemon Stadium came out a month before Pokemon Yellow. And before Pokemon Yellow, the only way to get a Pikachu was to encounter one in Viridian Forest or in the power plant. And let me remind you, those Pikachus had a very low encounter rate, so it was very hard to get one. But anyways, in order to get the Serving Pikachu, you first have to beat the entire game of Pokemon Stadium. And let me just clarify, you can beat Pokemon Stadium twice, round 1 and round 2. But in order to unlock the Serving Pikachu, you first have to obtain the round 1 completion. And let me just put this in perspective, the world record for beating Pokemon Stadium 1, round 1 and round 2 is 20 hours. That's right, it took Worcester 20 hours to beat Pokemon Stadium 1 because there's that much content and it's that hard to beat. So you can only imagine how long it would take for a normie like you or me to beat that game. And it doesn't even stop there, because not only you have to beat round 1, but you have to beat the round 2 Master Cup and all of the cups before it while having a Pikachu on your team that you transfer from Red or Blue by getting an expansion pack for $30 at Target. Hashtag not sponsored. So let me just reiterate this. You have to beat Pokemon Stadium 1 on round 1, then transfer a solid team from Red or Blue with your Pikachu and beat the Prime Cup League all the way up to the Master Cup. And then once you reach the Master Cup, you have to beat every trainer with your Pikachu on your team without losing once. And then, and only then, you can teach the Pikachu that you caught, Surf, and have a Surfing Pikachu. Yeah, it's pretty nuts how far Game Freak went with this one. This has got to be one of the hardest Pokemon to obtain. Hence why this video was originally called Top 10 Hardest Pokemon to Obtain. But yeah, that is why it's number 3 on this list. It is an extremely hard Pokemon to capture / obtain.
Number 2.
Now this next Pokemon is impossible, like, I'm not even kidding. It is impossible to capture this Pokemon. So with that said, for number 2, I chose the Pokemon Pinball Mew. Now before we get into why this Pokemon is impossible to capture, we first have to find out how to even encounter it. Because it is legendary Mew after all, it is no joke of an encounter in any Pokemon game. So in order to encounter this legendary Pokemon, you have to beat every bonus stage at least twice. And then after that, you simply go into the game's Catch-A mode, and then you have a 2% chance of encountering a Mew. Which is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not like the freaking Pikachu before, we have to go through hoops and solve a Rubik's Cube and then do the astrophysics equation for going to outer space. All you have to do for this Pokemon is just do a few bonus stages, and then you have a 2% chance of encountering it. But trust me, that is all an illusion of why this Pokemon is the absolute devil when trying to catch every Pokemon in the game. Because the only way to capture Mew in this Catch-A mode is to hit it 1,024 times in 3 minutes. And guys, it's super hard to even get 100 hits on a Pokemon in 3 minutes, let alone 200 or 3. It's not possible to hit Mew 1,000 times in that short amount of time. And the reason why it's that high is because of the coding, like that's its max capacity of a number. So the programmer just intended Mew to be not catchable in this game mode, in the Catch-A mode. Kind of a troll. But if you're some kind of Pokemon pinball savant that's better than a tool-assisted program, then maybe it's possible. But if you're like the rest of us, yeah, this Pokemon is never going to be captured. And that is why it is number 2 on this list. But what could be number 1 if this is number 2?
Number 1.
Alright guys, I'm sorry this is kind of a troll, but let's just get into it. For number 1, the hardest Pokemon to capture ever is the Whiscash from the Pokemon anime. Yeah, I'm not joking. In Season 7, Episode 35 of the Pokemon anime, a trainer known as Sullivan throws a Master Ball and fails it. The Whiscash literally eats the Master Ball and isn't captured. This has got to be the only time in Pokemon history that a Master Ball fails, because there really isn't any recorded history of it happening again. This is the only time. This one Whiscash just swallows it like it's nothing. So, strictly for that one reason, that is why this Whiscash is the hardest Pokemon to capture ever, because not every Pokemon can say that they withstood a Master Ball. I mean, no one can, except for this Whiscash. So that is why I chose this Whiscash for number 1 on this list. And there you go, the top 10 hardest Pokemon to capture in my opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like if you did, because I appreciate it a ton. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe, because I upload pretty frequently now, being a full-time YouTuber and all. And don't forget to ring that bell, because that notifies you even more. And if you want to be even more awesome, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and even on the Amino app, because all those platforms are super cool. And also, if you're looking for stream gear or anything like that, you should definitely check out my Elgato link down below, because I am partnered with them and they are awesome. And just by visiting the link helps me out a ton, so I really appreciate it. And finally, for the question of the day, what Pokemon was the hardest for you to catch? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments, because I'm going to read those comments and reply to them and be like, whoa, that's crazy. And yeah, that's all for this video, and I will see you guys next time. See ya!